Hey y'all, it's your daily Google News with Kasim and
John.
And we're coming at you today to talk to you about what we learned after spending $100,000 in 7 days on YouTube ads. Which interestingly, I'm coming to this conversation blind because John has refused to share anything with me. So I'm the reaction video. I'll just be like, what? No way. How'd you do that?
I know I slacked you a few like, no way. And is there more? Like, so just read off my script and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've got a teleprompter here in front of me. I'm excited about this because we haven't really done a lot inside of our YouTube channel on YouTube ads. So it'll be cool for us to hit a new topic. Before we get into the nitty gritty, give us a little background on the client. Who are they? What do they do without giving them away?
Yep. So they're a very successful business coach. They teach different ways for online sales to take place for customers' businesses. And I can't give too much information away because they are a big client and we want to protect their identity, but they've been doing it for many years. They know their stuff and they've just been successful. It's not like their first go at it. So I think that's something that's been really helpful with this is when you see the content that they produce and when you see the type of lead magnets that they offer, it's a lot of real valuable stuff. It's not just like this, clickbaity or like how to make $1 billion in 6 minutes type of thing. It's real and good education. So I think that's been helpful.
Yeah, the offer is solid. And that's, something that Ralph Burns and I, and if you're not familiar, I'm the co-host of Perpetual Traffic, tune every Tuesday. But Ralph hits this hard, dude. Like this is his favorite drum to bang, which is if your offer sucks, paid traffic can't help you at all. You're just going to get more people saying, "Hey, this offer sucks."
Paid traffic is is basically just like, does this offer suck? We'll run paid traffic and you'll find out.
And we'll find out. Yeah. So you have to have a quality offering. You're not going to be able to spend $100,000 in 7 days profitably unless you really have this dialed in. And we've met with this client a handful of times now. They're solid entrepreneurs, like really brilliant guys.
Yeah, they're sharp cats. That's for sure. They know what they're doing. And that's. Again, you can run any ad on YouTube and you can pretty much get any offer that you want taken up for you on YouTube. Opt-ins aren't difficult on YouTube. But if you're going to spend a whole bunch of money and you don't have a really solid offer and a core business model that works, you might as well just throw that on black at casino. You have a better chance of making it back.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about these guys too that I've heard you say is they don't have like the most impressive landing pages or a bunch of whiz bang funnels. I mean, their content is solid, their offer is solid, but they're pretty, what would you say, generic?
But what's funny is like the landing page is like a video, a form, and then below it's like, hey, above is the video, and then the way to opt in it's like, oh, okay. It's really simple. It's not the, excuse me, I'm sick, so I'm gonna cough through this. It's not like the ClickFunnels where it's like 5,000 words on one big landing page. Like the landing page, when I scroll up and down, and at first I was looking at that, I'm like, oh man, this might be tough. We're getting 16% conversion rate though. So when they hit that page, it's a 16% conversion rate. So again, it really goes after, you could have a crappy landing page, but it's like, hey, would you like this gold nugget? They're like, oh, of course I will.
Oh, dude. No.
Yeah, no, there's not enough content on here. So yeah, it's funny. The right message to the right person at the right time is the oldest saying in the book for marketing, and it still works. That's why, we're against squeeze pages. It's just because it doesn't matter what the squeeze page looks like. If you can trick people into something, that's not a business model. You just were a really good con artist that day.
You're just a jerk. I know.
Right?
Well, dude, people don't like to be squeezed. You know what I mean? Like we've all been in those horrible situations where you're with the salesperson that's just not letting you go. That's like the digital equivalent. You know what I mean?
I know. It's like you ever go to Walmart and they just try to sell you only Rice Krispie treat and will let you out of the aisle. No, it's never happened.
That's you got the gal like running interference and chasing you down, and
right. That's why that doesn't exist.
That's so funny. All right, so let's dive in. This gets like ultra tactical, right? We're gonna drop some knowledge bombs here.
Yeah, some things, some really big surprises, some things that you would have never thought about, because I didn't, and I had to learn. Is really interesting. So
before we go too deep, let me ask you this from a YouTube perspective. How analogous is this to small advertisers? Like, can I take what we learned spending $100,000 in 7 days and spend $2,000 in a month? Or is there like a line of demarcation, a threshold that you have to reach before this learning becomes applicable?
It really depends on the offer and how niche it is. So with this company, it probably applies to 10% of the population, which is huge.
Right.
Now,
Significant.
tennis shoes probably applies to 30% of the population. But if you're talking about, accident injury attorney, that applies to less than 1% of the population at any given time, this is not going to work. So it's not necessarily, is it scalable or shrinkable, I guess, is the way that this runs the best is when you have a good offer to a large amount of people. And honestly, it could be just simply a discount code for list building strategy, who knows? But if you're trying to go like ultra niche and ultra specific and you want to run this way, you're going to need a good amount of ad spend. And that's where this is gonna optimize. And so what you'll see is that our targeting is probably nothing like you ever tried before. And that's the reason why this is working so well. And the reason why it's working so well is because it only equates to about 10% of the population. But once you find that 10% of the population, it's just, sky's the limit.
That's the key, is to spend until Google can qualify who the prospect is, and then Google's going to go, okay, we got them.
Yeah, and consistently. And so that's what I'll share with you.
I'm so excited.
Cool. I'm going to share my screen, and there's going to be a lot of stuff blurred. What's nice is what you'll see here is the campaigns. There's 2 campaigns running right now. We did have other campaigns running, but it was for a different type of audiences. But that's not what I wanted to share with you today. So we have a campaign called Direct to Webinar. This is a campaign that we're just increased the budget today to $24,000 a day. What you'll see is the last 6 days from August, 5th through the 11th. So basically the last 6 days. Last 6 days, we spent $105K, and it's all been the same videos on YouTube. We're testing different, warm and cold traffic. What we found is that our cold traffic audience, which has the most amount of scalability, is getting in the last 6 days, 26,000 in spend, 2,300 opt-ins. We had $922 worth of this new funnel offer that's, it hasn't been running. It's only been running since like last 2 days, but we're getting $28.84 cost per conversion. Now they needed 25, and if we can find more conversions at 30, 35, they're okay with that. So I had a little bit of flexibility there. But what's interesting,
so 35 is their ceiling, and we're beneath their ceiling to an adequate degree.
Yeah, $25 is like open credit card. You can spend $1 million tomorrow, and I won't care. 35 is, don't spend too much, but we want a good amount. So that's kind of my goal. So at 28, that's when I bumped the ad campaign up from about $5,000 a day up to $24,000 a day, because I was hitting that mark. So it's perfect. But here's what's really, really interesting is cold traffic. You think, okay, are you using DSK? Are you using topics? Are you using audiences? Are you using similar audiences? Are you using custom audiences? The answer is no, nothing at all. I'm going to click into these. You're going to see the ads are blurred because we want to make sure that this is not shown. So all this stuff here on the left-hand side is going to be blurred. I tried demographic targeting. I've tried DSK. I've tried every which way, shape, and form you could imagine. What worked the best is running this thing completely wide open. No targeting at all. Nothing.
That's what Facebook tells people to do, that we always laugh at.
I know. And what's funny is I was getting DSK, like the display search keywords. I was getting them. I was getting audiences. I was getting interest. I was getting topics.
What threshold? So like DSK, what was the cost per conversion?
It was like 26, 27, but I get like 10 a day.
Okay. So we got.
I met the goal, but I couldn't meet the
it
scale.
just couldn't grow.
I could meet the goal, but I couldn't scale.
No, here's my question is, you started using the segments first. You gave Google context because there's legacy conversion data. So you basically said, hey, Tom Jones over there downloaded this. So do you think opening the lid sans that context would have worked as well? Or do you think those predictive indications juiced what ended up happening?
I think the predictive indications juice, and that's kind of what you'll see this one here, direct webinar 3x list. They actually have 3 lists And it's okay. This is subscribers and unsubscribers. This is just a more recent list of everybody. These are people who are engaged, which means they are subscribed and engaged. These are people that actually have opted out and said, don't ever contact me again. We ran YouTube ads to them. It was funny. Was that?
I said to hell with those people.
I know. And I still was getting $38 opt-ins and 114 of them. So I'm like, ha, you aren't completely opted out.
What's funny about that, dude? I just unsubscribed from AppSumo the other day because they sent me too many emails. And then like the day after I unsubscribed, somebody sends it was in a group forum that I'm in. Somebody, sends a little message saying, is this worth it? I'm like, yes. And I'm buying the damn thing.
It's like, having an ex, you're like, I hate that person, but I still love them.
Phone rings at 2:00 in the morning. You're like, hello.
I know. I told myself I'd say no. What?
Oh, we've all been.
That's got weird. All right. But what's interesting is I had a list. And so I was going up to that list anyway. And that list, funny enough, I was getting $29 opt-ins as opposed to my $28 cold.
Dude, cold traffic is cheaper. That's unbelievable.
Right? It's crazy. And so what I found is even up to like, if I just say yesterday, the 11th, my cold traffic was 22. I'm under that $25 threshold and end up getting 166 opt-ins, 166 opt-ins for $22.93. I got 92 for 24.
In fairness, the list is actually outperforming cold traffic. It's the CPV that's so much higher.
The CPV is astronomical. Yeah.
Why is that? Why when you focus in on, it's not like that inventory is more expensive. Like, why does Google do that?
I have a theory that Google will probably.
They just know. They're like, I know you want this.
I think it'll send a hitman to my office if I say it out loud. I think when you run target CPA, and that's the trick, it has to be target CPA. But I'll tell you here in a second why. I think when you have a target CPA and you give it a bunch of money and you say, hey, you know what, I'll spend 10 grand if I can get $30 leads. Google is like, well, I would have given you $20 or 20 cents CPV. Fine, I'll give you 9. You'll hit your goal and you'll spend that money with me. I almost think like the more that you want to spend and your goal, I've seen CPV in this account go from 26 cents on cold traffic. And as I tightened up my cost per lead from 45 down to 25, I got 45 down to 25. I didn't sacrifice any conversions. The only thing that happened, my CPV just got cheaper. And I was like, yo, if you set a target CPA, if you set a target CPA lower, Google is obviously optimizing and getting smarter, but why would CPV be dropping if it's getting more targeted? When I get really targeted, like my 3X list, I'm getting 44 cents. So why am I getting rewarded the other way in cold traffic?
Dude, what a good point. Why is CPV dropping as Google is identifying exactly who we should be going to? Because in theory, that person is now, now the inventory is narrowing. It should be reversed.
That's what I thought too. Just not the case. And it was funny is my view rate actually didn't get any better. It actually got slightly worse. It went from like 17 down to 14%. Like the cost cut in half.
Wow.
So here's another thing that I thought was kind of funny is running wide open is something I've never tried before. That's why I still had this called demographic targeting. The only thing that I did is something that was with data. And let me go to demographics and age. The only thing I did, and that was because of data, is I just removed the 18 to 24 group. This was consistently like 70 and 80 CPA. Now I'm never one to start with something excluded. I will always test.
Yeah, we just need to pause there. If you're watching this, don't wholesale remove age ranges. John and I, right before this call, we were talking about another client who was removing age ranges that John was able to prove were actually the most productive ages for a product that was for older women, right?
Yeah, it was for 65 plus year old women, and 25 to 34 outperformed them.
So don't go into this segmenting your demo. But when you see data and the reason to do that, by the way, is because Google's not great at identifying exactly how old people are. They're using signals instead of like actual demographic information. But once you see data, then you can narrow. Sorry, John.
No, you're exactly right. And what's funny is this type of business doesn't really resonate with the 25 and 34. It's not much, not as much as like the 44 to 55. That's usually like the best according to their previous data from however long they've been in business before I met them. 25 and 34 is actually outperforming it, what they thought it was going to happen. And that's coming in at $30.81. Now, but my unknowns are coming in at $21. So it's just dropping it down to 29. So I'm like, perfect, that's great. But when I was running 18 and 24, I knew it wasn't the right fit. I tested anyway, turned out I was right. But I would have suspected that 25 and 34 would have done much better because it's only a couple years difference. But no, it's doing more than twice as good. So moral of the story, run it wide open and just hack off your demographics as you see fit.
Now, here's a question. Do you think unknown is actually unknown by Google, or do you think unknown is withheld for privacy concerns?
Probably both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's withheld for privacy concerns. I can't imagine a scenario where Google doesn't have some as to how old somebody is. That's like one of those core foundational piece of demographic information that they should just be able to, you know what I mean? Just draw.
Yeah, they probably know enough. And that's probably what's funny is like, it's like choose automated bidding strategy. Well, yeah, but I want this age group. Doesn't matter. Choose automated bidding strategy because we're going to stick them in unknown and give it to you anyway.
Manuals a lot.
Right. And well, here's the other part that I shot myself in the foot. And it was on the 7th. And check this out. On the 7th, my cost per lead, 80.
What'd you do?
I optimized the right way, Kasim. I swear. And you can see it was like, good day. Oh God, come back. You know what I did? And this would be something that everyone would say, well, yeah, of course, I would do that too. Don't do it. This is what I did. And this is what you shouldn't do. Again, ads are going to be blurred out. But if you see here, the second largest impression ad since the 5th, and the one that I've spent the second most amount of money on.
Yep.
Look at my cost per conversion.
So you prioritized an ad and it killed the campaign.
No, what happened was I shut that ad off.
Interesting.
All right. See why I didn't tell you what I did. So because you're wondering, well, yeah, of course you would, John. Why wouldn't you? And why did that kill the campaign? So there's a lot of ads in here, just as an FYI. But I looked at what am I spending the most amount of money on and what am I actually having the most amount of conversions on, or most amount of highest cost per conversion. So I'm just like, well, if I just kill that one, I'll probably reallocate ad spend here, here, and here, and here. And this is 22, 34, 36, 24. Good. Very logical sequence. Here's what happened. Inside of attribution, check this out. 71% of all conversions.
Oh, you killed the acquisition ad.
I killed the ad that was probably my interest gatherer.
Right.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So using click attribution that is not separating out.
When it would be view attribution at this point, wouldn't it?
Cost per conversions, click attribution though.
Well, that's my question, because the ad that you killed, it stands to reason they hadn't clicked yet. So is Google giving us attribution data that lets us compare views to clicks? Like
sort of.
View ad 1, view ad 2, clicked ad 3.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to accidentally turn off ads 1 and 2 because I didn't realize that they're in the they're in the conversion path.
Yeah. So sort of. It's, and I'll go through that next. It's kind of crappy. It's not really.
Yeah, there's a shocker.
Yeah, but that's what I found is that it took at least 2 ad interactions, 71%. And what happened was, I don't know if that was like I shut off the second one, I shut off the first one, I shut off the third out of like the 7.
You shut off a critical ad in their path to conversion.
Right. And I have 15 different ads. I shut off one and I 2.5x the cost per lead. Insane. Wow. And what's funny is that was something where I'm like, I don't know what I did. I'm like, this just must be an off day. Like, no.
We have to have view through attribution with YouTube.
Here's what's interesting is when you go through here, Google does have view through conversions. If you look at conversions and you look at settings, and this is that include view through conversions from display and video ads in your all conversion columns. So when you look at here, if I look at the columns, modify columns, conversions, all conversions, and I look at this ad here, why is this now different? Hold on. There we go. Let me do this again. Okay. You'll see 41 conversions here, 63 here.
Right.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
This one still is 624, 1106.
The 41
it's
to
actually
63 or the 624 to 1106. That's the number of actual conversions versus the number of actual conversions plus view through conversions.
right. And
But why can't we see that? We need a conversion path the same way analytics would show us with clicks.
it's in assisted conversions video creative, and that was ad number 2. Ad number 2 here.
There you go.
You'll see 2,100 last click conversions, 3,800 click and view conversions.
But this is aggregated. Why can't we get the individual, again, the individual paths? Like that's
not available yet.
Dude, how do you optimize without it? Like, you know what I mean?
That's what's interesting is the video path. This is the video creative path. Cool. But this is also click based.
I was going to say, these are clicks. These aren't views.
Right. So I didn't know that until
I give up.
right. I didn't know that until I shot myself in the foot and be like, well, it must be. The assisted conversions is like, did they see the ad and did they convert? And that was the only thing that I saw was assisted conversions. Did it assist? Which means, did they see that ad?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, I was just like, did they see that ad and then end up converting later? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And if it showed, yeah, then I just kept it on.
Yeah,
So
the way to guard against this is to make sure that you're looking at your all conversions column.
Yeah. And well, and you know what's so stupid? All of our traditional ways of doing everything ever are just gone. It's like, so what's your targeting? Nothing. Are you alive today? That's what I'm targeting. Yeah.
So let's ask the really horrible question, and we can edit this out later. Why do we need an agency? Like, why would someone hire us? Why wouldn't they just throw all their videos into Google Ads and zero targeting and just go?
Well, because if you hired every agency, they'd probably do what I did. So we're the only ones that know this, and just hire us. And if you're thinking about stealing this, at least subscribe, please.
Yeah, exactly.
At
least give us a thumbs up.
I'll put a Cash App link in the below. Throw us like $3. I mean, come on. I'm begging here now.
Let me ask you a question. It's off topic, but on topic. Did you see, and this is like 3-day old, it actually might be a little bit newer than that. August 9th, attribution models now support YouTube and display ads.
Yes. And so that's what you saw there. It doesn't support, well, I guess I'd back up. Data-driven attribution model is
That's
actually,
what I was gonna ask you about.
Yeah, data-driven will actually use impressions to influence or to actually give you a click conversion.
So why wouldn't we use data-driven attribution for this? Spending enough.
Well, it gives you attribution into I guess I would say like the individual campaigns. For my ads, I didn't expect this to take place. And what ended up happening with this client is, let me just see if I'll pull up, we're probably gonna have to blur a lot out, but I'll share with you what ended up happening when I first started to run these campaigns. When I use data-driven or first click, when I use anything else but last click, I had horrible cost per conversions.
Say it again. When you used anything but last click,
I had horrible cost per conversion. Now, this company.
You think that's because YouTube was built on the back of last click, and it like the entire rest of whatever the machine learning or algorithm is like just isn't used to the other stuff yet?
No, here's what you'll see is that when I had when I started to run these campaigns, I had campaigns, or I didn't have campaigns. They had campaigns before that didn't have any ad spend and started getting conversions from what I was doing now. So it ended up taking place, like this one here had 0 costs and they got 10 of my conversions. Now, all of these are gonna be blurred on the side. And here's the reason why. Data-driven said, hey, this other agency left, you took over.
Oh, dude, that makes so much sense. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
You started to get conversions on the campaigns you were running. Google was giving them back to the old campaigns that I previously shut off, and I needed to track what mine are doing because it's a completely new funnel, everything else is brand new. So you could have like campaign that says, would you like a free cup of water? And I'm running a campaign that says, hey, would you like a free cup of lemonade? And if they convert on lemonade, it gives it back to the water.
But it only gives them back to the water if they'd previously interacted with water, and for some reason in the data-driven,
And when you run hundreds of thousands of dollars in YouTube.
Yeah. So we're giving away. Now, this wouldn't have been an issue if they didn't have as many legacy campaigns, right? So if it's a brand new, let's say we're starting fresh, you're going to spend $100,000 a day or whatever it is, $25,000 a day. Would you attempt to use data-driven attribution?
Not if I knew that my funnels would change.
Ever. So if your funnels will ever change, then data-driven attribution, basically, because you're now in a new state using the same
90-day view, 90-day click and 30-day view. If you're looking at getting a cost per lead and you're going to put a lot of money to it, I don't want to be giving 1 out of every 10 of my conversions away.
Dude, I was so excited about the attribution expansion. And I think what we're talking about right now is a YouTube specific campaign. But my feeling, and I just shot a video on this, so if somebody's watched this video and I'm proven to be wrong, then it's whatever, it's fine. I thought that the expansion of the attribution modeling would give us the ability to run search, display, and YouTube in a kind of a cohesive singular campaign and actually view data that was cross-compatible, cross-referenceable.
Yeah, and it is. And let me pull up an example, because it does work. And it's when you're running heavy YouTube and you have ever-changing funnels, it doesn't work as good. Like if you need to know today, how is it doing now on this funnel?
Okay,
I use
this is YouTube specific, but if you are running multi-channel, then having the ability to mess with attribution is to our benefit.
Right. And I think data-driven works really well. If you're like, let's say, and I'll show you an example, e-commerce store with smart shopping, and you're doing video retargeting.
Yeah.
And that video retargeting may not be the one to, but it's like, we know it's working, but no one clicks on them.
Before the ability to mess with the attribution, you have that exact client, the scenario that you just outlined. Like there are 2 channels, display and YouTube specifically, that are completely static in terms of the way that you get to view how the purchase event takes place.
Right. And let me do this here.
I'm going to apologize to Jack on the video and say, Jack, I'm so sorry you have to blur so much.
I know, right? Let me see here.
Do you have any sense as to how profitable this client is? Like what one lead, they're willing to spend $35 for a lead. What do they make?
They need 250 sales for this to be like a whoa home run. They're running 3 different events. They just had their first kind of preliminary event and already had 100 sales. So lead quality is fantastic.
Wow. How come we can't get into a business like that?
I know.
We were selling Google Ads management one at a time. Not that we don't love y'all. If you want to come work with us, please reach out. But like, can you imagine just like that level of scalability?
Oh, I know. And you know what's weird is not seeing this. I just had it and now it went away.
We don't believe you.
I know.
You're making it up.
Let's see if I can find it real quick, because this is really interesting.
While John is doing that, I will tell a collection of PPC jokes.
that
I happen to have at the ready.
Oh, here we go.
Damn it.
So these are going to be blurred out here, but this is what I was looking for. This one, the video retargeting. Last click and data driven are right now equal just in the last 7 days. But video retargeting, you can see data driven. Again, if I go anything past 14 days, for some reason this goes away. But I'll do this here in case it does go away. It goes from 1 to 1.8. Data driven gave view impressions to video retargeting. And video targeting here, like they're giving 127 and 89% more conversions to those, because it is taking impressions and then knowing that, well, they saw 3 ads and then came back to smart shopping. These people also, they keep seeing those 3 ads and coming back and buying. So they must be doing something. Like that's what that's doing. If I do the last 30 days, yeah, see, last 30 days to go away. Why? I don't know. We had to rebuild into 2 different new campaigns. So I'd like to use the previous ones that I had before, because when I had this before, last click versus data driven was like 6 conversions, 24. Like it gave me 18 more conversions from data driven that were not click attributed, but data driven just said, hey, yeah, those view throughs they're real. Like those mean something now. So you might see. I
prefer, to be frank, in the agency space, like we did something to put that impression in front of you. It takes 31 impressions to catalyze a conversion. We need to take credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're in data driven a lot of times is the best. It's not available to everyone. What's
the spend threshold? Do you know?
It's, I think 1,000 conversion actions, or 1,000 registered conversion actions
in what time frame?
I think like a month is usually yeah, I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think data driven, that was something, let me just see here.
It's not a small threshold. I mean, that's significant.
No, it's pretty big.
So what do we have, like 10 clients that could use data-driven attribution?
Yeah, probably about 10. But that's the thing too, is like data-driven usually works best. If you don't have data-driven, with using the model comparison tool, find out what your main campaign is and see how much, what attribution model is going to give the most conversions to that campaign, because that's a campaign that A is probably doing the best and also needs to sell the most and needs to scale the most. So
the problem with the model comparison tool is anytime I've used it to any degree of depth, all that ends up happening is it's like it just chooses the campaign that's winning, but there's not much in the way of like excess, you know what I mean? So it's all of a sudden, well, if I want campaign A to look better, then I can use this one. If I want campaign B to look better, then I can use that.
Yeah, and that's like where it's, you know, DSA campaign and then smart shopping. It's like, well, we go from 390 up to 456. That's good. But this one goes from 325 down to 270. And that's because they're always coming through this one and then finishing through this one. That's how this is going. So it says, well, this is pretty much the interest gatherer. The sensitive DSA has some brand in there. So that's why it's like, well, people usually come back through this one. So last click, this one would usually start to steal more. But data driven is like, no. This is the campaign that's actually doing all the heavy lifting. This one is just like that one click to sale. So it's kind of funny. We're using data driven in this one, and that's why, you know, I'm doing that, is because this is the one that I'm spending 18 grand on versus 13. So yeah, of course I'm going to give it the most amount of conversions because I can meet goals quicker, I can scale faster, all the good stuff.
John, if somebody didn't want to do all this by themselves, let's say that they wanted friendly, helpful, attractive, well-spoken,
charming, sophisticated.
Yeah.
I don't know an agency like that.
Traveled. but short of them, they can come hire us.
Right. Now, if you want everything else, if you want, you know, Fabio and a bald guy joking at you all day, hire us. That's the hair.
Oh, wow. That was so painful, but probably accurate. Yeah, and the reason I'm bringing this up, by the way, is because a lot of the YouTube questions I'm getting are things like, I wish we could hire you. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can? What impression have we given you to the contrary? So
like, yes, please call us.
Yeah, if you want to run Google Ads, we're taking clients. And we'd love to work with you. Visit our website. If you can't find it, we don't want you as a customer. Like, you need to be that self-sufficient to be able to, you know, just Google Solutions 8. You'll track us down. It's sol8.com. That's as many hints as I'll give you.
Yep. a lot of good stuff, and that's just amazing. It's almost going back to like old school marketing in YouTube. It's like running it wide open, like a TV commercial. It's like running it wide open to a demographic. Finding out what age groups, finding out if there's like a difference in gender, you know, anything like that is just, you know, if you, and that's the thing too, is running this same scenario for a very small WYSIWYG that not a lot of people may know or even necessarily need or want, we wouldn't have this success. This covers about 10% of the population, I would say. 10% of the population they're targeting, I should say.
Yeah. So if you have broad appeal in your offer, then the strategy we just gave you is good. If you don't, then you still need to get a little bit more focused.
Yeah. And so that's where it's, you know, it's interesting. Does your offer apply to the masses? If yes, let Google do the work.
So not to belabor this, because I feel like we've scaled down and we're about to sign off, but I do want to say that I think it would still work if it doesn't. Now you just need to give it more time and money, because it takes more, you know, it's a needle in a stack of needles, and Google has to sift through all the crap to figure out who works. And I'm thinking specifically of the client of ours that sells the stock training.
Yes.
They ran display to the tune of like 6 figures a month or close to it.
And discovery.
Zero targeting. Targeting. This is before they hired us. They ran it with zero targeting. Now they did that for like 9 months. And the first 8 of them were just abysmal. I'm like shocked that passed committee, that somebody didn't pull the plug on that. But then they started like, I mean, it was amazing, dude. It was unbelievable what they were yielding.
Right. And you know, what's funny is this is another thing that I think one thing that we did when we helped them was this, and this is 2 good points. And I want to make these 2 last points before we set up too, because I think that this is going to also help. Don't set frequency capping. Just don't.
Yeah, I noticed that the frequency on the list was much higher than the cold audience.
It's like 7.3. Yeah.
Yeah, the cold audience was like less than 2, and the frequency was almost 8.
Yeah. If you're using target CPA, let target CPA set your frequency capping. I'm getting 1.7 impressions for everyone. Now, there's the 0.7s are usually watching like 2, 3, 4 videos and converting, but the other ones are just completely skipping. That's fine. Let Google see those signals and then react. Don't say, well, you only get one signal. Now what are you going to do about it? It's like, well, crap, now I can't flex and adjust because you've locked me into a very small path. And here's the other thing. This is a little gold nugget that I found that I don't know if a lot of people would have thought of. Don't do TV screens. Do computers, mobiles, tablets. Exclude TV screens. People don't opt in on TV screens. People don't skip ads very often, especially if they're 15 seconds or 30 seconds long, because the TV screen, it's harder to possibly find my remote to hit skip rather than letting the ad play through. So Google's signal is really good view rate, but those people don't opt in. Well, it's because people don't usually grab their clicker and opt into things on their screens.
Their clicker.
Right, their clicker. I'm old. The little fandangle doohickey that they type on. But that's the thing too, is if you're running like YouTube Red or whatever, YouTube Live on your TV screen, I just excluded all of those people because those have a lot of false positives that Google's like to spend more money on. So I figured if it's not easy to opt in, I'm not going to run it. So when you run wide open, try to hack off like the obvious ones, like maybe there's an age group that's just horrible, or a gender, or household income, or TV screens, or a device. Just start hacking off the, well, I'm really blurry. Come on, focus here. Focus. All right, I'm less blurry there. Yeah, just start hacking off the obvious wasters, and you're going to bring down that CPA, and then start bringing down your target CPA at the same time. It can work. It's just amazing.
If you're watching this and you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. Comment if you have questions or opinions. We've actually had some really good dissent. Like we've had some people say like, oh, I don't agree for this reason. And in some instances, we'll learn some things. We'll add some things. Mostly we're right, you're wrong, but we'd love for you to give it a shot.
It's our YouTube channel. So
what else? Oh, subscribe. We post a video every single day. And if you hit the subscribe button right next to it is a little bell. And if you click on that bell, you can choose to be notified every single time a video goes live. So you can hang out with us daily.
Yay.
That's all I got. John, any words of wisdom? Do you have a good sign off?
No.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know we actually know what we're doing. We shoot a video every single day. So if you want to be notified, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any input, don't hesitate to hit us up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We get very little human interaction. Thanks for supporting our channel, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.